Good evening and welcome to the Roar Rundown Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Gay, joined by Zach Cloud and Weston Bailey, and as you can tell, we are getting into the holiday season so far. It is, as of today, it's just December 4th as we're filming this. So I'm maybe a little early, 21 days early, but as I think Weston talked about last week, it's never too early to celebrate Christmas. So, but we'll go ahead and get into the the Ouachita festivities right away in athletics. So, what happened first was, of course, Ouachita basketball season's been going on. They opened up their conference season against Harding. Women lost by 20 at home on Thursday. That was a rough game. They just couldn't get the lid off the basket. It did not help that they were playing against 6'4" Sage Hawley, who is very tough to stop, one of the best players in the conference. And so Ouachita did get out-rebounded by 17. But just briefly looking at, we still had some players put up good numbers.
Absolutely. You just pointed out the big number is being out-rebounded by 17. But Grayson Fairless, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 1 block. Laney Mears, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. I really think it was just the fact of how much the boards mattered in this game. And when I'm sure they had a lot of offensive rebounds as well, put back shots. And, that can really kill you.
Yep, and then Brooke Smith added 6 points, 4 rebounds of her own, and then Heidi Robinson had 4 points, and then Micah Russell, who's had some moments for Ouachita as just a freshman. She had 5 points as well. So definitely they would perform better this past Saturday. We'll talk about that in a minute. But men's basketball, they also opened up their conference season against Harding. That was also at home, and they lost by 8. Now, Ouachita, when you look at the field goal percentage numbers for both Ouachita and Harding, Harding should have won by a lot more. They shot 50% from the field, 58% from three, and had 17 points off of Ouachita turnovers. And Ouachita shot 20% from three, 43% from the field. But Ouachita still just lost by 8, and they were leading at halftime. The problem was Harding got hot in the second half. Ouachita just couldn't get the lid off, and they really had to play from behind in the second half, and they were close. They were really close, but they couldn't pull off the comeback. But looking at some individual stats, Emory Knox, I think this was his OBU career high, if not his college career high of 19 points. And then Tyler Haynes had 16 points, 8 rebounds. Reggie Martin had 14 points, 8 rebounds. He's become more of a playmaker. He had 4 assists. Taryn Williams, he's really played a lot better with Ouachita. Been great as that playing in that 3 spot. He had 11 points, 2 blocks, and then MJ Leslie, one of the smaller players on the court at any given time. He had 6 boards and 7 points. So moving on to wrestling. So they had a pretty solid weekend at the Drury Open in Springfield, Missouri. A couple guys were ranked in their respective weight classes heading into this tournament. Jalen Otero was ranked 16th according to Open Mat in the 157-pound class. I don't know. I've never heard the weight like that.
Me either.
I mean, you typically it's like an even number. Anyway, and then Brooks Schermscher, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. He entered 14th on the Open Mat in the 197-pound class. But Otero, he had a phenomenal weekend. He finished this was his 3rd undefeated weekend of the season so far. He has 17 wins and only 3 losses to his name in 2023, and then he had 4 wins on Saturday, and winning in the first place match. Because he won that first place match, he of course won out the Drury Open. Jimmy Anderson finished 2nd with 133 points. Samuel Schmidt and Donald Paul also finished in the 4th position. Schmidt with 165 points, and then Paul with 285 points. Now, swim and dive also had a pretty eventful weekend. Both women's and men's squads defeated Truman State. Now, what was interesting about this was that Truman State is coached by Jacob Ragsdale, and for those of you that might recognize that name, his brother is Sam Ragsdale, who is on Ouachita Swim and Dive team. And then, of course, Jacob swam with Ouachita for 4 years, and then now is the coach at Truman State. So his team didn't leave with a win. They did break a few records at the pool, but some Ouachita swimmers also broke records. The 400 medley relay squad of Jamison Tankersley, Kelly Holcomb, Rachel Delangel, and Dee Dee Christensen, they won that event, and they set the Wagoners pool record, which is, of course, Ouachita's pool, and that record was set back in 2021. And then, like I said, there were other records that were broken. Elijah Christensen, he won the 200 butterfly, which, he won out the event, but broke that record that was set in 2022. And then Miles Schultz also set a new Wagoner record for the 100 breaststroke. And then, again, another medley relay group of Barrett Troop, Miles Schultz, Elijah Christensen, and Sam Ragsdale set the record, breaking a record from 2006. I think that's all the records, but I'll just quickly go through the other winners of the different events. I mean, the Tiger Shark, they really dominated over the weekend. The women winning 117 to 112, and then the men winning 173 to 58. But Abigail Connard won the 1 meter and 3 meter dive. Kelly Holcomb won the 200 freestyle, and then Anna Phelps won 400 IM and the 200 butterfly. And then for the men, Tyler Andrews won the 500 freestyle. Jacob Lewis won the 1,000 freestyle. Jeff McCoy won the 200 backstroke. Sam Ragsdale 150 freestyle. Miles Schultz won the 200 backstroke. Noah Smith won the 400 IM. And then Sam Ragsdale, Tyler Andrews, Jeff McCoy, and James Savarese won the 400 freestyle relay. And then Carson Powers won the 1 meter and 3 meter dive. So that was a pretty successful weekend for sure, and by far the most success that any of the Ouachita teams had over the past week. So going back to basketball, I did say that women's basketball, they would perform a little bit better this past Saturday, and it was on the road in Russellville taking on Arkansas Tech, where they would win Ouachita would win 63 to 57. Now Ouachita, Zach, when I look at those numbers, most of those percentages for Ouachita are kind of ugly, but there's one that really looks pretty solid.
I'd say 95% shooting free throws is really solid. Anytime you can go out and do that any given game, you're going to set yourself up for success. But another big factor in us being able to come out with the win in this game was our ability to get out and transition and get a lot of fast break points. We had 20 points off turnovers, 19 fast break points, and we also forced 24 turnovers. So we were really able to give Arkansas Tech some fits. They only scored 57 points. Obviously, our offense wasn't super great. We shot 37% from the field and 26% from the three-pointer, but we were able to get it done and hit our free throws, which, those are the shots that matter. Those are the easiest shots in basketball, so you love to see 95% of them go in.
Well, Arkansas Tech didn't shoot well either, so Ouachita's defense was pretty stifling. Arkansas Tech shot 36% from the field. They only made one three-pointer, shooting 11% from three-point. They only hit 64% of their free throws, so they missed. So they left a lot of points out there. But despite the loss, they still out-rebounded Ouachita 43 to 26. Now, Ouachita is one of the smaller teams in the conference, so they have to win games on the fast break, which, they had 19 fast break points. They have to force turnovers. They forced 24, got 20 points off those turnovers, and they got to make their shots. They didn't make a lot of them, but they still got they made 18 free throws in the second half. Didn't miss a single one. Their only miss was in the first half. So just excellent, considering they're not even that great of a free throw shooting team. It was just something that you like to see. I imagine Coach Dallimore, and as of December 4th, it is Coach Dallimore's birthday, so happy birthday, Coach. But anyway, I know he's got to be happy about his team's performance, especially from players like Heidi Robinson. She had 18 points and 3 steals, and I think she hit all of her free throws. And Lainey Mears, I know she hit all of her free throws. She had 14 points and 3 steals. Now, we've talked about Mears a lot this year. She's really been the catalyst for Ouachita. She's been the number one scorer, but she's also been one of the best three-point shooters on the team, or the best three-point shooter on the team. She didn't even attempt a three-point shot, which I thought was interesting. You don't typically see that from, Steph Curry's not going to go a game without attempting a shot. So, but I think that had a lot to do with the Golden Suns' defense, and but regardless, she still, came away with double-digit points, and they came away with the win. So it doesn't matter what it looks like as long as you get the win. And Grayson Fairless also had 12 points and 3 steals, and then Samantha Watson added 8 points and 4 rebounds. Now, men's basketball didn't have a particularly great Saturday. They lost 50-85 to Arkansas Tech, also on the road in Russellville. I'll just briefly go over these stats. This just was not a pretty game. Again, the shooting percentage for this squad wasn't particularly great. 39% from the field, 28% from three, only 6 points off of turnovers. And Arkansas Tech shot almost 50% from the field, 37% from three. They had 44 points in the paint, 26 bench points, 18 points off turnovers. We only had one guy in double digits, and that was Taryn Williams with 19. He had a great game. And then Reggie Martin had 9 and Tyler Haynes had 8. But, guys, when you look at those numbers, to me there's a trend, especially looking at that Harding game as well. It's just our defense really has not stepped up to the plate yet.
You're exactly right. And, it's not a good thing when your defense isn't quite there yet, and then your offense as well has been shaky. And we've seen this offense put up a lot of points before. We've said it before we even started the show. They have all the talent in the world, and I think everybody here at the school knows it. I think everybody in the conference knows it. And I think these guys are going to get it together. But, like you said, you got to be able to at least win one side of the floor, and defense and offense was both worse in this game, which isn't going to lead to a good outcome. But I think we just need to see those field goal percentages go up and obviously play a little bit better defense.
Well, now I know I'm about to mention a couple sports that they're out of their seasons, but they still had some award recognition. So for women's soccer, Jamie Fowler and Abby Inman were both selected to the Division II, the D2 CCA All-Region second team, which just consists of some of the best players in the country in this particular region that Ouachita is in. So that's certainly an honor. And then also the same award was given to 5 members of the football team. So Kendall Givens and Josiah Johnson made the D2 CCA All-Region first team. Now, what's interesting about this is that because they're part of the first team, this makes them eligible to become Division II All-Americans. And I think T.J. Cole was one last year. Yep. So I would love to see Kendall Givens bring that recognition, that honor back to Arkadelphia, especially since he's playing that same position. And then Zachary Henson, Connor Flanagan, and Cardle McElhaney all made the All-Region second team. I don't think that they're eligible for the All-American list, though, but still, two members on that first team, that's definitely huge. So we'll go into our Tiger Prowl preview. So now Ouachita men's basketball, they only have one win on the season, but they will have a chance to get back on track. And no idea when this episode's going to release, but as of Tuesday, December 5th, they will be hosting Dallas Christian at 7 p.m. I will be on the call for that, so make sure you check it out. OBU Wrestling, they traveled to Clarksville, Arkansas to face Ozarks on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Ouachita Women's Indoor Track and Field opened their season. That will be interesting. I have honestly not really followed them in the past, but it should be really interesting to get to see what they're able to do. But they opened their season at Pittsburg State on Friday, and then also goes into Saturday. They will also participate in the Crimson and Gold Invitational on Saturday. This is, of course, still at Pitt State. I don't know if that's the same deal, but it was labeled as something different, so I just wanted to mention it in case it was. Now, women's basketball, they will travel to Southern Arkansas on Saturday at 1 p.m., trying to make this a 2-game conference winning streak. And then, of course, the men's basketball will follow them as well to play Southern Arkansas at 3 p.m. And then wrestling play again on Saturday. They will travel to Miami, Oklahoma to face Northeastern Oklahoma A&M. And that will be at 2 p.m. So not a lot of former GAC performers that had notable performances in this past week. So Monday Night Football will feature, I don't know who the Bengals are going to play, but I know the Bengals. The Jaguars. Okay. Well, that will be interesting because
See if Gregory Jr. gets on.
yeah,
the
see
field.
if Gregory Jr. can play. And then Tanner Hudson is the former SAU tight end with the Bengals, and he's on one of my fantasy teams. So I would love it if he needs to get me like 20 points to win, which I don't know if he will. Yeah, but he's still been having
Legacy game.
one heck of a season for him though. But some other guys that have had pretty solid past weeks. So David Moore, he's a former East Central wide receiver. He's played 5-6 seasons in the NFL. He's been back and forth with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from their practice squad. He just got elevated back to the active roster for this past week. He did not make an appearance, though. And then Segun Alubi, we've talked about him a number of times. He had 2 tackles and a fumble recovery in this last win for the Colts over the Tennessee Titans. And I don't know if you guys checked out that game. Obviously, probably not. They're not two of the most entertaining teams.
I went to overtime, though.
But I think they had 2 block punts off of Tennessee, and I think one of them was recovered by Alubi. So, some pretty good special teams work and he benefits by
Who
being
ended up
a part of
winning
that
game?
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, when you block 2 punts, it's kind of hard for the punting team to find a way to win. So, well, that was it for our overachiever segment. So let's talk. We're going to still stay on the subject of football because we were talking about this a little bit already. So there's not been much to talk about in the world of Arkansas sports, even though Arkansas basketball should be ranked. They're not
They
ranked.
just had a big upset win, didn't they, over Duke?
Yeah, but they're
7 Duke.
Duke's still ranked. They fell 15 spots in the AP poll, but we are still unranked. It doesn't help that we lost to Greensboro, but anyway. But staying with football, the college football playoffs have been announced, and they're still announcing the various bowl games. But it is interesting that number 1 is Michigan, which doesn't surprise me. Georgia,
Deservedly.
lost, and they were sitting at number 2, so rightfully so.
Convincingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Washington was at number 2. Also, beat Oregon a second time, so they showed that they deserved to be there.
Deservedly so.
And then number 3 was Texas, which I still not convinced as to why they're there. I know you're a Texas fan, and I don't mean it as disrespect. It's just okay. And then 4 was Alabama. Now Alabama knocked off the number 1 team in Georgia. You can make an argument that Georgia should have still been in it, but of course.
Is that what you like? I'm curious what your top 4 would be if you were.
Oh shoot. Well, honestly, it wouldn't be that different, except Texas would be sitting at probably 5.
Okay.
I know there's been the conversation of Florida State was unbeaten. I mean that, and that's the truth. And it wasn't like they played terrible teams. They played and beat a ranked Clemson team, and I know they had weird moments during the season, but they still ended the season ranked. They beat a number 14 team in Louisville, who's proven they have one of the best offenses in college athletics or college football. And they beat them with their third-string quarterback. And they also forced that offense to only put up 6 points with all their starters. Nobody was sitting out that game, to my knowledge. And then they also beat Duke when Duke was still ranked, when they were still pretty good. And I don't remember. They beat a good Miami team as well.
I think their best win was probably their season opener against LSU.
That is true. Yes, they did beat LSU, who ended up being like 11 or something like that, with the guy who's probably going to win the Heisman.
He better.
It'd be better, yeah. But I'm curious, from a Texas fan. All right, for the people that say, okay, you guys beat number 18 Oklahoma State. it's a respectable win, but is it how is it comparing to Florida State? They beat a much better Louisville team, though.
Well, yes, we only played the number 18 ranked team, but it wasn't just at least in my eyes, it's probably a little biased, right? But in my eyes, it wasn't just a respectable win. It was a dominating. I mean, we beat them by a ton. Quinn Ewers set the Big 12 record for passing yards in the Big 12 championship. He might have done touchdowns, too. I can't exactly remember. I know that he got pulled in
either 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Now, he did have a
I think he
heck
tied the
of a
record
second
in
half.
the first half for touchdowns.
Yeah, that's right. First half,
And I
yeah.
think he threw one more in the second half. But I mean, I don't know. If we were looking at it, we should have jumped Ohio State because Ohio State lost to Michigan. I think you're right. I saw a tweet from J.J. Watt the day before the rankings came out, and he said that there should be an emergency 16 playoff, and I think that's what I'm going to go with. That's how it should have been.
Awesome.
I think this year more. I mean, since the college football playoff has been around, I think this has been the most controversial where any of the top 6 teams could have been in. I mean, I think you're exactly right. There's an argument that Georgia should still be in there. They were ranked number 1. I mean, they were on like a 28-game win streak or something like that and lose one game right before the college football playoff, and you're going to drop them out. Happy as a Texas fan, obviously, but do I think they're one of the top 4 best teams in the country? I do. It was crazy. I will note that as a Texas fan, it's interesting. We got matched up with Washington, who we played in our bowl game last year.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Washington beat us 27-20 last year, and it was a really good game. Offense just kind of couldn't figure it out, but I think it's going to be exciting. I think Zach said this earlier. The Georgia-Florida State game will be a big tell on if the committee got it right. If Florida State's able to keep it competitive or even win the game, then was the committee wrong? Possibly. But if Georgia stomps them by 3 or 4 scores, well, then can we say they really didn't get it right?
Yeah. Well, so speaking on what you're saying is basically they chose, and this is actually what the athletic director of Florida State believed, and, the decision's pretty obvious why they went into that process. The committee chose, okay, are we going to put a team that, yes, they're unbeaten, they've beaten good teams, but they're down to their third-string quarterback who only has one real game of experience? Or are we going to put in Texas, who has one of the best offenses in the country, who's proven, and then put in Alabama, who beat the number 1 team in the country, and they're an SEC school. So what are they going to do? And from that standpoint, Florida State's going to be out. But when you look also the fact that they still were unbeaten, they beat multiple ranked teams, and they have one of the best defenses. They still beat a good Louisville team with their third string, and they still didn't make it in. So I know from Florida State's standpoint, what more could you ask for? The only reason why, in my mind, that they're not in it is because Jordan Travis is not out there. So my thought is that if the box score was the exact same in all those games, but instead of Brodemaker or Glenn at quarterback for Florida State, if it was Travis, Florida State's still in, simply because he's a great quarterback and it's potentially a great game whenever he's in.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's not.
I think if that was the case, what I would have wanted to see is Florida State in the 3, Texas in the 4. I think you could have made an argument there should have been no SEC.
Yeah.
Because obviously Georgia just lost, and we beat Alabama early in the year. So, one could argue that Alabama shouldn't be above us, even though they beat the number 1. There's an argument for every scenario in this.
There really is.
It was crazy. It was something.
Yeah.
I also want to note that if Texas makes it to the national championship, it'll be at NRG Stadium in Houston, which will basically be a home game for Texas.
Wow.
And I actually looked at going to that game, and I would be going if the cheapest ticket wasn't $2,000.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, Well, fun fact, I actually went to NRG Stadium back in March, April, actually, whenever the tornadoes
Really?
hit in
Really?
Central Arkansas, because that's where the Final Four was.
Wow.
Really?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
I
that's
got
right,
my
You and Chase Hartzell.
yes, Chase Hartzell and Isaac Bourne. We all got the opportunity to go down there. Isaac does work for I think he does work for Sports Illustrated. Sorry, Isaac, if I got that wrong. But he also works for Mid-Major Madness, and they just talk about the various mid-majors in the country. And since two of them made the tournament in Florida Atlantic and San Diego State, he had the opportunity to go and talk about it. But
That's sweet.
And then San Diego State made the championship. But yeah, it was a cool experience. But yeah, I don't blame you. That's a nice stadium.
NRG is
massive.
beautiful. Another fun fact: I was actually there yesterday for their win over the Broncos, and it was a phenomenal experience. It was my first time going to an NFL game.
When the heck did you get back?
Yeah, last night about 10:30.
Okay.
One of my really good buddies, who was also on the baseball team, he's a huge Denver Broncos fan, and I'm a Texans fan, so we decided to make a little weekend trip out of it. And NRG is awesome. The
is
stadium
pretty cool.
is sweet. It's a great atmosphere. It's crazy. I know those cheapest tickets are $2,000. So we were sitting. I mean, obviously broke college students, right? So we're sitting in the rafters pretty much. And that same ticket, I think it was like $110 or something for that ticket.
That's pretty good, actually.
That same, and yeah, it was. We were up high, but the
Yeah.
view was amazing. I mean, there really isn't a bad seat in that
No.
stadium, I don't think. But that same ticket is $2,000 for the national championship,
man.
which I just think is
It's insane.
it's crazy.
insane. Yeah.
So if anybody has free tickets for the national championship game, I'll take them.
Assuming Texas makes it, you guys
I
got to
would love to
be
go to the national championship regardless, but yes, it'd be a lot sweeter if Texas was in. it.
okay. So all right. If you, well, this is kind of a stupid question, but all right, and I'll ask you separately. Outside of Texas, who would you like to see win the championship?
Probably Washington. If I mean, they have such a fun offense. I like Michael Penix and his story.
Yeah.
His multiple injuries through his college career.
Mhm.
And if they beat us, I kind of be like, well, I hope they win it all. I feel like
Yeah.
if a team was to beat us, I hope they're the ones that win it all. But also, I mean, Michigan's been right there the last few years, and they could. Really, I just don't want Alabama to win it.
Yeah.
honestly.
Well, I don't disagree. I bet you probably have a similar answer.
Well, yeah, kind of similar. My thing is obviously I'm a big Arkansas fan, and so we're not going to be in the championship or anything. But I feel like if somebody is going to be in the championship, I would like it to be like an SEC school. So usually I just kind of root for whoever is in our conferences in the playoffs. So like the past few years, I've been all right with Georgia winning, kind of running away with it. But
yeah, not really.
An Arkansas fan rooting for Alabama?
just saying, I won't root for LSU. If it's LSU, I'm not going to root for them.
No. That is like a blood creed that we
that
have
is
to
like-
follow.
exactly.
Like
I think
you,
I'd rather
you could
be-
not root for Oklahoma no matter the situation.
Yeah,
Exactly. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing, especially given I feel like this, if Bama did win it, this might be definitely would be one of Nick Saban's most coveted championships.
Oh, for sure.
Just considering how
100%.
they dropped
11
out
straight wins.
they dropped out of the top 10, and everybody lost hope on them, and then
Benched
here they
Jalen
are.
Milroe
yeah,
for a week after
Yeah.
they played Texas.
It's crazy.
Well,
So-
I don't know if y'all saw. So the transfer portal opened up today.
Woo, it is busy, boy.
It's
let
busy.
Me tell you.
But one of Alabama's quarterbacks that they brought in from the portal last year, Tyler Buckner from Notre Dame,
Yep.
and a lot of people thought he would start. He's in the portal, but not as a football player, but as a lacrosse player.
Really.
Yes.
Really?
He was originally committed to Michigan to play lacrosse, but then changed and went to Notre Dame to play football. And he didn't do a lot because of injuries and stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, so I
can't remember who it was. It was a quarterback for a small D1, and he's foregoing his 5th year to go be a Navy SEAL.
Levi Williams with
for
Utah
Utah
State.
State.
Yeah,
yes.
Utah State's quarterback.
Hey, hats
All
off
the
to
respect
him.
to him. That
That's
is
awesome. Yeah, because that's even, they're bowl eligible.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic game,
Yeah,
over
really
400
talented
yards.
kid,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was a great player, and former Arkansas State coach, coaches at Utah State. Well, speaking of Arkansas State, they're in a bowl
They got a
game.
bowl, yeah.
They're in a bowl game. Good for them.
The Camellia or the
I have no idea,
I think it's
but
the Camellia
it's
Bowl.
one of the low bowls, 6
fine.
wins. Yeah.
Good
Well,
for them.
considering they were, I'm going to be honest, it was looking like Butch Jones was not going to be the coach at the end of the year for Arkansas State. So I think they lost their first 3 games. They didn't score a single point against Oklahoma, who put up 75 on them or something. It was ugly, and then they just turned it around.
You know what's crazy to me? We were just talking about the transfer portal. Dylan Gabriel is in the transfer portal.
Yes.
Oklahoma. I don't understand that.
Well,
you're in a
Kyle McCord with Ohio State.
Yeah, both.
Shock.
Well, both of them shocked me. The McCord one made it a little more. He was kind of getting bashed all year when people thought the Ohio State offense should have been a lot better than it was. With people like Marvin Harrison and Egbuka at receiver that are both going to the draft this year, probably both first rounders. But Dylan Gabriel beat Texas this year. He was in the top 5. Ranked. His team was top 5 ranked for over half the season.
Yeah.
Where else are you going to go that's better than that? Unless he goes to Ohio State, but
well, he's going to SEC next year.
Oklahoma. Why would you not want to be in the best football conference on one of the best teams? And he had a fantastic year. Arguably could have been in the Heisman race. That one I saw and I was like, this ain't right.
Yeah, I can. With McCord leaving, I was like, I didn't even think about. Yeah, that's right. He didn't have as great of a season as they would have hoped from him.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking, okay, we've had some rumors about Ohio State's coach not being there next year. Does he know something the public doesn't? Yeah. Because it doesn't make any sense.
If Ryan Day wasn't Ohio State's coach next year, I think that would be blasphemy.
I think it is too.
He has 5 losses in the last 5 years or something and 3 of them are to Michigan. I mean, he's 47-6 or something like that.
I mean, he's been great. Yeah, it's just they hate Michigan, and if if they can't beat Michigan, then
fair enough.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess if Texas constantly lost to Oklahoma, Sarkisian would be out.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But if that was our only loss on the season for 3 years straight,
I don't know if they would pull the plug on such a successful coach.
Exactly.
But I also didn't understand why Ohio State fell out so horribly out of the playoffs when they lost to Michigan, because they fell to 7 or 8.
I think they were 6 because Texas was 7, so they fell to 6. They were ranked 3. I think
2. They were 2. Michigan was 3.
Okay.
That's why I didn't understand it.
Well, I mean, yes, one could argue. I mean, one could argue everything, right? But one could argue that they fell too far. But we saw Georgia fall to 5 from 1. So, I mean, each team dropped 4 spots. So
that's fair, yeah.
It's so hard because the top end of college football this year was so competitive with so many one-loss teams and 4 zero-loss teams going into the last weekend. So it really left no room for error. And I think it's just proving, time and time again, that if you're going to lose, it better be in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Because if it's in the second half of the season, it won't be good.
Well, I mean, Alabama showed that even though they lost at the beginning of the season, it was tough. It was tough for them to get to this point. They had to go through a lot of controversy and a lot of stuff, but yeah, they got in. So I don't think Alabama can pull it out. It depends on who they play, because I think them playing Michigan,
did you see,
that's a beatable game.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you saw, but there was a Twitter video of Michigan's reaction.
Yes, they won at Florida State.
Seeing that Alabama got in, they did not look at. No. If I'm Alabama right now, I'm chomping at the bits, man. I know that. But Michigan's looked great all year. I think this is going to be a very entertaining college football playoff. I'm excited.
Will. Yeah, and the next year it's going to expand.
Yeah.
So all those teams complaining about not getting in, well, there's not going to be an excuse next year.
It's just going to be just as competitive next year because Georgia has, I want to say Texas, Alabama, Florida. Georgia has 5 top 25 teams on their schedule next year, when usually they play nobody, which I think is good for college football. I don't want to see a team go 13-0, but they didn't play a ranked team all year.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, let's let Texas win the Natty this year, and then we'll focus on next year.
No, we won't let Texas do anything. That's America's hope. But anyway, staying on the subject of football, but dropping down a whole level is we're dropping down to Division II level. Harding is still getting it done, and they're in the semifinals or the whatever. I don't know if it's. You'd usually be the conference championship, or anyway.
It's the semifinal.
Yeah, semifinal, and they're playing Leroy Owen or Lemoy Owen. I can't remember who they're playing, but they were able to beat Grand Valley State 7-6. And they didn't score until the fourth quarter. I know that must have been a hard game to watch, but one that just kept you on the edge of your seat. But they knocked off a perennial Division II powerhouse school, and now they're just one more game away from going into the Division II championship, which I wouldn't have imagined.
And I can't say I mean, obviously here at Washita we don't like Harding, but at the same time, kind of like how Zach said, how he roots for an SEC team, it'd be pretty cool for a GAC team to win a national championship, bring some,
Well, I will interrupt you because I've been saying go other team every week, and they've been winning. So honestly, deep down, I'm like, you know what, Harding, you go for it, but
just root for Harding this week and they'll lose.
Well, I know, but honestly, I would like to see if they could do it.
Yeah.
At least make it to the championship, because at the very least, the amount of exposure the Great American Conference is going to get. I know it's Division II, but that's still more exposure than we've gotten before, because I don't know if Washita's ever made it to that game, and I know Henderson's never made it to that game. I don't know if Harding's even made it to that game. So it would be huge, considering we're not even in that big of a region. Because if we were, both us, we would have been in it along with Henderson, But anyway, so Harding and whoever the heck they're playing, good luck. But anyway, so we alluded to it last week, Christmas-related stuff. So Christmas is coming up, but not before we have finals week. Y'all pretty confident about your test, or?
For the purpose of my parents that are probably watching, yes. I'm absolutely confident in every test I'm about to take.
Well, yep, so I'm pretty confident too. I just found out one of my classes won't even have a final, which is great, yeah. But hey, when you get to be seniors, it sometimes it can be a little easier on you. But shoot, what was I going to ask? Okay. Favorite Christmas songs? What are they?
I got two that pop into my mind, which is Underneath the Tree, Kelly Clarkson, and All I Want for Christmas, Mariah Carey. Those two.
That's a classic. Yeah,
those are both really great songs to just sing when sometimes guys think that they could be on The Voice just casually in the car. And those are two great ones to go to when you're feeling like you're prepping yourself for an audition. I'm like a kid at heart, so I'll go to I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. That really, I mean, that's a classic.
I'm a sucker for like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra stuff.
Okay.
So that I like some of their Christmas songs, but only like one or two. And I'm so bad at remembering song names. And then also there's one that I had actually never heard until like a week or so ago was DJ Play a Christmas Song by Cher. And
I haven't heard that one.
I don't know. I like it, but it's like a different feel, but it's not your typical holiday song.
Yeah.
But so those are all good choices. Yeah. So also, favorite Christmas memory?
Wow. Man.
I don't know. I would say I know my favorite, not just Christmas, but my favorite holiday tradition in general is Christmas lights. Like putting them up, going around looking at them. So, like my family, we usually do at least something with Christmas lights, and that's always fun. But I don't think it's ever actually snowed on Christmas for us. I might be wrong, but that's something I guess that we haven't really experienced. That I wish we had.
Typically have white Christmases now.
Yeah, as a kid, I always wanted like a foot of snow on Christmas, go outside and go sledding and everything. We've never had that, but if we did, that would probably be my top memory.
Well, okay, so I know you said you couldn't remember one. I remember we did have one. I think our power was out during Christmas, so that wasn't the best white Christmas, but it was still sort of just like the white was just pressed on you because we couldn't go outside or something. But yeah, that's always been one of my favorite memories, is just even just a little bit of snow on Christmas. But honestly, I'm weird because Arkansas temperature in the South is just so weird. I like it when it's Christmas and I can still walk outside and shorts and short sleeves.
Oh, heck no. Heck no.
I don't know. It's just something about I prefer a cool 70-degree temperature year round. That's just me. I don't care. I don't always, hey, I don't know. It just may be me saying, I prefer it over the where it's kind of cold now. I say that because I'm wearing shorts when I really shouldn't be, but yeah, so.
So just recently, my family started doing a gingerbread house competition, like building gingerbread
cool.
houses
Yeah.
and stuff, and that's been really fun. But I think my main answer is I miss when Christmas just felt like Christmas. Like as a
Yeah.
kid, kind of
Yeah.
having like
Yeah.
that magical feeling to it, not being able to sleep the night before.
Oh yeah,
And
That
just,
is true.
there's
when-
nothing like it.
I mean, obviously, I think when you grow up and you have kids, probably kind of get that feeling back because you get to give that to your kids. But I mean, I just miss, growing up. It just sucks, man.
Yeah, it does. Well, something I loved when I was a kid was the Santa Tracker
Yeah,
website. That was
Oh,
fun.
Yeah,
Like
and
you'd
we'd
see
leave
it
out,
in
like, a
Russia and then in
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Indiana
Yeah.
a second
Yeah.
later.
Keep up with it, like-
my
Yeah.
family would leave out like the night before, like a cookie and a glass of milk. And
Oh, yeah.
and
Little, like, reindeer food
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
yeah.
We'd see paw prints on the ground.
Yeah. It was always legit.
Wait, reindeer food? I've never heard that. I've just heard milk and
Well,
cookies.
we would always. I don't know if it's actually like edible for reindeer, but like in school,
As a kid, you think it
yeah,
is.
in school, we'd always have like during class, I guess like Christmas party or whatever. Like in like elementary school, we'd make like reindeer food, and
Really?
it'd be like glitter and like all sorts of stuff like mixed up in like a Ziploc bag.
Nice.
I don't know if
You'd
the
like-
reindeer
yeah,
could eat
I
that.
know.
That's fine.
Thinking back on it, you don't know exactly how healthy it actually is for Santa's reindeer. You want them to be able to perform on Christmas, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that
funny.
was always fun though.
Yeah, but yeah, I know we didn't do anything like that during elementary school, but we would create like our own ornaments and stuff.
Yeah,
that was always fun. But I don't know what the heck we made ours out of, but it was all it wasn't even so much mine. My parents have like some of their old ornaments from when they were a kid, so they're
Really?
from the Stone Ages. So sorry, Mom and Dad, I know y'all are watching me and calling y'all old, but anyway, I don't know what material they use, but they almost look like cookies.
Wow.
So when I was a kid, I was like, oh, shoot, this looks pretty good. Let me take a bite out of this. And they'd say, no, it's not a cookie. Not a cookie. You can't eat it. But, every once in a while, it's like, if that was a cookie, that would be a pretty good cookie, just with the sugar frosting on top or whatever. Yeah.
So I got one last good question.
Oh,
for
okay.
us that could, to some, would be controversial. For Christmas, do you prefer the white Christmas lights or colored Christmas lights?
Oh, okay. Me and my friends, we were just talking about this last night because we were going around trying to find Christmas lights and everything, because that's like I was talking about earlier, favorite holiday tradition. Just
That is
Christmas
a good
lights.
tradition, yeah.
But I would say I'm more like kind of classic, like original. So I would say for me personally, like just the white lights. But like when you're just going around looking at them, like I don't really care what color they are, as long as they're out, they're out. But if I'm
Yeah.
gonna put some on my house, I wouldn't mind. I really wouldn't mind which color, but if I had to choose, I'd probably prefer to do white lights.
Yeah, so we have a new Christmas tree at my house this year, and it's one of those that can change colors with a remote.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So
Interchange it.
Yeah, so sometimes we'll do white or the white. Yeah, I guess it's white, and then the multicolor. I like the multicolor. Exterior lights, I prefer them to be white. I don't know, it just doesn't. I don't know.
It's kind of two different vibes. Your Christmas tree versus your lights. on
Yeah,
your
like
house.
on the wreath or something like that. Just from my opinion is those outside lights should be white. Christmas tree, you do whatever the heck you want. If you wanted to do all red lights, that's fine too. But something else that just popped in my mind. What is y'all's like favorite Christmas treat? Because Christmas time's all about eating sweets and stuff. So I'll say mine. Well, obviously cookies and stuff. That's great. Hot chocolate.
Yeah.
A good cup of hot chocolate, especially when it's cold outside. Oh man, there's nothing better.
I think
There's
we're all
nothing
the same.
better.
Yeah.
I don't know football game. I don't know what football game it was last year that we did. It was cold though, and it wasn't even Christmas. It was like October, but it was cold. It was like unusually cold, and our director Chris Babb had brought out had bought some hot cocoa mix. I don't know what brand it was, and oh man, I had like 2 or 3 servings of it.
Nice.
I had to use the bathroom so bad, but it was so good. It was great. So yes, a good cup of hot cocoa is great. So, but anything else y'all would like to add before we head
I think
off?
that's it from me.
Yep. So, well, this will be the last show of 2023. We will get it started back up with episode number 15 coming in January of 2024. I don't have my calendar in front of me, so I don't know when that will be, but we'll let you know when it's released. Or, well, I won't let you know. It'll just be released, and there you go. But yeah, well, thank you all for tuning in for every single episode. This was episode number 14. I'm Chris. This is Zach and Weston. We thank you for tuning in, of course. And it's a little early, but have a Merry Christmas, and go Tigers.